What's up, people of YouTube? So we're going to do a little bit on a cooling system today. We'll just sketch through it because I know a lot of you are completely clueless as to what goes on, and from the amount of misinformation and bullshit I see on the internet, there's a lot of completely wrong conceptions of how it all works. But basically a cooling system consists of a radiator, thermostat to regulate the water temperature as it passes through the engine, a cooling pump which is around on the other side there, driven by the crankshaft, and then usually, which is difficult to see, a bypass circuit from the back of the thermostat, and then down the bottom here back into the water pump. The idea of that is you still need water circulating around even when the thermostat's closed. So the hot water passes from the back of the thermostat through a passageway back down here, back into the water pump, so it can just squish around a bit, because when the thermostat's closed it doesn't travel up through the hoses. Finally, on this system with an expansion bottle, you've got a cap on the top of the radiator which is set to a certain pressure. If that pressure is exceeded, the cap will open and it will blow excess water into the expansion bottle, which is why it's called an expansion bottle. There's no pressure cap on the bottle, but it is a tight seal, so pressure can't escape there. And there is a vent hose here which runs down to the bottom of the bike. Now, because this is a closed system, air cannot get in. If your bike falls over, coolant will not run out of there. The idea behind it is not to smash your head on the handlebars, especially when you've got a camera up there. Now, the idea of the cooling system with the expansion hose here is if you get a mega hot rush of water, like if you've suddenly gone up a really steep hill and you've not been able to cool the bike efficiently, it will boil up, and anything boiling up or any excess pressure will open that cap after 108 kilopascals, it says there, and it will blow water down this hose and into the bottom of the bottle. Then, if the temperature and the pressure are still really high, it will slowly, as that cools down, draw the fluid back into the top of the radiator, thus keeping the level at the right level. So, never ever take the cap off on this side when it's hot, because it'll explode in your face, and just keep the level in the bottle on that side when it's cool. Now, on a CRF, all the temperature sensing and the fan switch, they're controlled by this one switch here, the ECT switch I think it's called, on the back of the engine. So that pretty much controls all your cooling and controls the on-off on your electric fan. So that's pretty much your cooling system in a nutshell. So your thermostat's in here, which opens. It's got a wax thing in it, and as it opens it pushes the valve back, and that allows the hot water to flow out of the cylinder head up to the radiator, where it then passes down through the radiator, gets cooled and sucked back in by the water pump. So that's your cooling system pretty much in a nutshell. But there is one thing you need to know about your cooling system. It's on the left hand side of the bike, and if you're like me, you crash all the time on the left hand side of your bike. There's your fan there, look. So you really do need one of these guards, because if you don't put one of those guards on, and you do frequently crash on the left hand side of your bike, you'll end up with one of those. And you do not want one of those at the top of a mountain when you're 3 or 4 hours away from the nearest village and possibly a week away from getting a new radiator. So, talking of new radiators, that was probably a really big bang, sorry about that. Here's a new radiator, 1485 baht. lovely jubbly. But that's going over in the KMX, because I'm going to put that in there with a cooling fan just to keep it cool. So there's your cooling system. Let's move on to the clutch.